a significant amount of marijuana was discovered inside the closet of the master bedroom. Well, the rapper, whose real name is GloRilla Woods, she was not home during the burglary or this search. Attorney says that Woods' family, they were staying there when this burglary happened. They called law enforcement for that crime, not expecting a search warrant to be issued. They also say that Woods is a victim here, not a suspect. Side County after she was arrested this week, but the sheriff's office says it all started after 3 people broke into her.
On July 22nd, GloRilla ended up behind bars, and not for something wild she did on stage, but for felony possession of marijuana found at her own crib. And just when fans thought it couldn't get messier, fresh jail footage just leaked.
Do you know who I am? No, I don't. No, man. You've never been to jail?
And trust, she ain't looking too happy in that cell. But here's the twist that's got folks side-eyeing the whole situation. The cops weren't even coming for her. Yeah, for real.
Were you drinking tonight?
Let's rewind this madness and break it all down, because the real story behind Glo's July 2025 arrest is way deeper than just a weed charge. Now picture this. It's the early hours of July 20th around 1:30 a.m. and 3 masked suspects break into GloRilla's house out in Forsyth County, inside the upscale St. Marlowe subdivision. And no, she wasn't even there.
Do you know who I am? No, I don't. No, man.
Sis was in Indianapolis, killing it at the WNBA All-Star Game halftime show, turning the whole court up and even getting stars like Angel Reese hyped on the sidelines. Back at her place, though, all hell broke loose. A family member who was home didn't hesitate. Shots were fired to scare the burglars off. The intruders took off, but not before snatching some jewelry. So how did Glo end up in jail if she wasn't even there when it went down? That's where things take a shady turn. When authorities pulled up to investigate the burglary, they searched the house and, boom, found marijuana. Suddenly, she's the one in cuffs. Fans are calling foul, saying the whole thing smells like a setup. Nobody got hurt during the break-in, which is a straight-up miracle.
I'm asking you how many drinks you had.
But what happened next? That's where this whole thing flips into something that's got the culture heated and asking real questions about the justice system. When the cops pulled up to investigate the burglary, they said they smelled marijuana and used that as their reason to get a search warrant. But instead of chasing down the suspects who actually broke into GloRilla's home, they flipped the script. Cops searched her place and claimed they found more than just weed. They said there was over an ounce stashed in her master bedroom closet, plus a Schedule I controlled substance. Now, fast forward 2 days later, on July 22nd, GloRilla pulls up to the Forsyth County Jail on her own, turning herself in without any drama. She got slapped with felony charges for marijuana possession and possession of a Schedule I substance. Her bond, a cool $22,260, which she posted that same day and walked out free. But hold up. Here's what's really got people outraged. How does the victim of a home invasion end up being the only one arrested? Like, make it make sense. The actual burglars, still out there somewhere, probably laughing while GloRilla's name gets dragged. Fans and critics alike are saying it loud. This ain't justice. This is straight up shady. It's a blessing that nobody got hurt in that break-in. But what happened next? That's when the story took a wild turn that had the whole culture side-eyeing the justice system hard. So here's what went down. Police show up to check out the home invasion, but instead of going all in on catching the burglars, they claimed they smelled marijuana and used that as an excuse to get a search warrant. Now, instead of chasing the people who broke into her house, they go snooping around and say they found over an ounce of weed stashed in her master bedroom closet, plus a Schedule I controlled substance. Just like that, the victim turned into the headline. Then boom, 2 days later, on July 22nd, GloRilla walked into the Forsyth County Jail on her own and turned herself in. No drama, no hiding. She was slapped with felony marijuana charges and one for possession of a Schedule I drug. She posted her $22,260 bond and was out the same day. But that's not even the craziest part. How is the one who got robbed the only one who got locked up? The burglars are still on the loose, and yet Glo's the one catching charges? Fans weren't having it, and neither was she. GloRilla clapped back and had the entire internet standing behind her. She hopped on X and dropped a statement that had the timeline on fire. She wrote, My house got home invaded Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star Game, and instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focused on some cannabis. Then she hit him with 3 straight-up facts that couldn't be denied. 1, she wasn't busted. 2, her house got robbed. 3, she wasn't even home. Her final line hit the hardest. Long story short, my house gets home invaded, and I'm the only one that gets arrested. That post went crazy. Over 60,000 likes and thousands of reposts, with fans from every corner of the country calling it what it is, backwards as hell. GloRilla's legal team didn't come to play. They came swinging. Attorneys Drew Findling and Marissa Goldberg tore into the arrest, calling it a disturbing glimpse into just how twisted law enforcement's priorities really are. They straight up said the cops should have been out there tracking down the real criminals who kicked in her door and traumatized her family, not digging through closets for weed in a state where it's still illegal for recreational use. But what made this mess hit even harder? The timing. While GloRilla was out of town, handling her business, repping Memphis on a national stage at the WNBA All-Star Game, and turning up the whole arena with that fire energy, back home, some criminals broke into her house, and somehow she's the one that gets cuffed? Make it make sense. This wasn't just bad timing. It was straight up embarrassing for the system. Here you have a woman doing something positive, working hard, uplifting her city, and spreading good energy. And while she's out there making moves, her home gets hit and she comes back to a mugshot. Fans were furious. Social media exploded like wildfire. Support flooded in from every direction. People weren't just backing Glo, they were calling out the system loud and clear. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all flooded with the same message. How does the victim end up in handcuffs? The love GloRilla got in that moment proved one thing. She's not just a star, she's respected by the streets, the fans, and the culture. And they're not letting this one slide. The outrage was real. People weren't just showing sympathy for GloRilla, they were dragging the system from every angle. Twitter turned into a war zone of support, with post after post blowing up and fans demanding real answers. One tweet that summed it all up went viral fast. So you mean to tell me GloRilla's house got broken into, and instead of tracking down the home invaders, they pull a search warrant, then arrest her over some weed when she wasn't even home? Crazy work. It racked up tens of thousands of likes and reposts, with people echoing the same exact frustration. Another one that took off said, 3 people broke into GloRilla's house while she was gone. Cops show up, find some weed, and suddenly she's in handcuffs. She was literally the victim and still got arrested. That post alone pulled in over 19,000 likes and 2,600 shares. But the energy wasn't just about defending Glo, it was about calling out what folks saw as a perfect example of how the system stays failing victims. People couldn't believe it. The ones who broke in, still out there. No names, no arrests, no progress. Meanwhile, the one person who wasn't even there is the one facing charges. Fans were making it loud and clear. This ain't justice, it's backwards. The culture stood tall behind Glo, using her story to spotlight how broken things really are. And from the looks of it, they're not letting this go without a fight. Comments were flooding in like, they'll do anything to bring you down. And they had no business searching anything when she was the one who got robbed. Fans weren't just upset. They were connecting this to a deeper, long-standing issue. How Black women and Black artists get treated when law enforcement gets involved. But here's what really shows the heart of hip-hop culture: resilience and humor, even when it's messy. In the middle of all this outrage, fans found a way to mix fire critique with that raw comedy that makes the pain hit a little softer. Memes were everywhere. One post went viral with, "Wait, did I read that right? Somebody burglarized GloRilla's house, but police saw some weed and arrested her when she wasn't even home?" It had people laughing, but also thinking. That's how the culture copes. Jokes that cut deep because they're rooted in truth. But now let's talk patterns, because this wasn't a one-time thing. GloRilla's arrest in July 2025 wasn't her first legal run-in in Georgia. This was actually her second arrest in just 15 months. And once again, drugs were involved in a situation where fans believe she was being targeted. The question a lot of people are asking now is simple. Why does this keep happening to her in Georgia? Coincidence? or something bigger going on behind the scenes. For many, it's looking less like bad luck and more like she's caught in a cycle of being watched, judged, and punished harder than others. And that's got folks raising eyebrows and calling foul across the board. GloRilla's first big legal headline didn't hit in 2025. It actually popped off in April 2024. And let's just say that traffic stop became instant internet legend for all the wrong reasons. She got pulled over in Gwinnett County after making an illegal U-turn at a red light. But what should have been a routine stop turned into viral chaos the moment the body cam footage dropped. That DUI arrest? Whew! Fans didn't know whether to laugh, cringe, or shake their heads. The way Glo handled the whole situation had folks split. She wasn't exactly cooperating, and her bold personality was on full display. That now infamous "do you know who I am" line, straight meme status. It was the kind of moment that lit up the internet. And the officer's calm clapback? "No, I don't." Yeah, that response broke the timeline. Some fans couldn't stop laughing, others felt it was a cold reminder that fame don't always work in real-life situations. Throughout the whole encounter, GloRilla kept claiming she was good to drive. But the officers weren't buying it. They said they smelled alcohol and weed, and the footage showed her clearly struggling during the sobriety tests. To make matters worse, she had what folks called a wardrobe malfunction on camera, which made the clip spread even faster across social media. Still, through all that, she kept saying she wasn't drunk. That insistence and the way she carried herself had people debating for weeks. Some thought she was being unfairly treated, while others said she brought the heat on herself. But one thing's for sure, that traffic stop cemented her place in viral arrest history. That 2024 DUI case, it eventually wrapped up without GloRilla serving any jail time. But the exact details, like whether she had to pay fines or serve probation, were kept hush-hush. Still, fans couldn't help but notice a trend that's getting harder to ignore. Both of Glo's legal run-ins happened in Georgia. And unlike states that have eased up on weed and low-level drug charges, Georgia still plays it old school strict. So for an artist repping Memphis but spending major time in Atlanta, these back-to-back incidents in the same state got people side-eyeing the whole situation. Some are saying this ain't just bad luck. This is starting to look personal. But before we dive deeper into her legal record, we gotta clear up one of the wildest internet myths out there. Those prison rumors from 2023. Yeah, remember when folks were saying GloRilla did 3 years behind bars for stealing cereal from Kmart? That whole story actually came from a joke interview she did with comedian Funny Marco on his YouTube series. He threw out a totally made-up scenario about cereal theft, and Glo played along with the bit for laughs. But not everybody got the joke. People on social media snatched the clip, ripped it out of context, and ran with it like it was gospel truth. By April 2023, the rumor had spiraled so far out of control that GloRilla had to personally shut it down, letting folks know it was never real. Turns out, not every viral clip is facts, and not every joke lands the way it's supposed to. GloRilla had finally had enough. She jumped on X, formerly Twitter, and fired back at the internet with a post that read, "Y'all really sat up there and believed I went to jail for 3 years for stealing cereal? And that's why y'all hearts be broke today, because y'all believe whatever somebody tell you." She was clearly fed up. And who could blame her? That whole cereal from Kmart story wasn't just fake, it was satire. And she was just playing along in a comedy sketch. But folks took it and ran with it like it was on TMZ. Glo used that moment to blast how quick people are to believe anything they see online, no matter how wild or ridiculous. It's one thing to deal with actual legal charges, but to also have to pause and shut down made-up prison rumors, that's next-level exhausting. And it really shows what female rappers, especially Black women in the spotlight, are up against. Every move gets flipped, twisted, and turned into gossip, and legal drama ain't even the half of it. GloRilla's also been through her share of other controversy, rap beefs, backlash over lyrics, and online drama that won't quit. From few other female rappers to random tweets getting dragged, she's had to walk the tightrope of fame in full public view. One of the loudest moments, a song preview where she used a word that many fans called out for being ableist. The clip lit up timelines, and she caught heat for it fast. Just another example of how, in this game, every lyric, every post, every word can get turned into a headline. After fans called her out over the ableist lyric, GloRilla didn't just ignore the heat. She actually went back and changed the track. That move showed she ain't too proud to take accountability when the people speak up. She's listening, even in the chaos. But the drama didn't stop at her music. Glo got dragged into a whole appearance-based controversy too, when old clips of her getting a full beat-down makeover resurfaced. Some people started calling her a catfish, claiming she looked totally different without glam. It turned into a full-blown debate about beauty standards, filters, and realness in the music game. But Glo clapped back the way only she can, by proudly showing off her natural look and brushing off the noise like, y'all worried about the wrong things. Still, it was just another reminder. Female rappers get judged on everything, not just the bars, but the lashes, the wigs, the angle of the selfie, and even when she wins, the haters still find something to cry about. When GloRilla took home the Doctor, Bobby Jones' Best Gospel Inspirational Award at the 2025 BET Awards for her track Rain Down on Me, the internet blew up. Some traditional gospel fans were furious. They said a secular rapper had no business winning a gospel award. Like that kind of inspiration could only come from a choir robe and a church organ. Gospel singer Dietrich Haddon didn't hold back either, calling it discouraging, disappointing, and saying gospel music needs a full overhaul. That controversy sparked bigger convos about genre boundaries, who gets to inspire, and what gospel is evolving into. Through it all, fake jail stories, mugshots, music drama, and gospel outrage, Glo's had to grow tough. Real tough. Because once you blow up like that, every step you take gets turned into a debate. GloRilla's been taking heat from every angle while still pushing her career forward and locking in with her fan base. But when you zoom out, this latest legal mess isn't just a one-off. It fits into a long line of wild moments, public feuds, and personal drama that's tested her strength and helped shape the raw, unfiltered public image she's known for today. And if we're talking about chaos, her feud with JT from the City Girls was straight up explosive. This wasn't just a quick back and forth, it was the kind of messy rap beef that had social media lit for weeks. We're talking personal digs, sneak disses, accusations flying left and right, all over some rumors that spiraled way out of control. Here's how it all kicked off. In October 2023, gossip started swirling after podcast host Armin Wiggins dropped some piping hot tea on the wrap-up. He claimed that at the 2023 MTV Video Music Awards, Glo approached JT with good vibes, maybe trying to squash past tension or just show love. But according to him, JT wasn't feeling it and straight up brushed her off. Then came the part that sent blogs into a frenzy. Wiggins claimed GloRilla either slapped JT or threw something at her. Yeah, that wild. But let's keep it real. No footage ever came out, no confirmed reports dropped, and a lot of folks wrote it off as typical podcast clout chasing. Still, the damage was done. That one rumor was enough to spark weeks of subliminal tweets, Instagram shade, and fan speculation. Both fan bases went to war online, dissecting every post, every lyric, looking for clues. Even though neither of them came out and confirmed what really went down, the tension was thick, and the feud kept headlines buzzing. For Glo, it was just another reminder, even a whisper can turn into a wildfire when you're famous. It didn't even matter if the story was true. Once the gossip hit the net, it became part of the culture. That's just how hip-hop beef brews. Facts? Receipts? Who cares? The second folks heard something went down between GloRilla and JT, the streets started picking sides and spinning wild versions of what really happened. From TikTok debates to shady tweets, fans were going crazy with their own narratives. And even though neither artist confirmed anything at first, they couldn't dodge the nonstop questions. Do y'all got beef or not? The tension kept bubbling beneath the surface until April 5th, 2024, when GloRilla dropped her mixtape, A Thing. That's when she lit the match, for real. One of the tracks, 8, had a line that basically touched the JT drama head on. She rapped, "Me and JT ain't the best of friends, but we ain't beefin'. And real ones always keep in honor that they keep a secret."
Apparently, JT and GloRilla got into a fight or some sort of tussle backstage at the 2023 VMAs this year. Yes, girl. The girls were fighting at the VMAs backstage. We all thought it was going to be Nikki, Cardi, and Meg. And really, it was GloRilla and JT duking it out backstage. But the girls were kind of keeping it hush.
Glo thought she was clearing the air, like, we ain't tight, but we cool. But JT, she didn't see it that way at all.
JT snubbed her off, like in a very nasty, catty way, like rolled her eyes at her and ignored her. And GloRilla went in to try to speak and kind of give her a hug, and JT kind of gave like...
She took it as Glo trying to ride the wave of drama for clout, and that's when things popped off. JT was already side-eyeing some of Glo's older bars, like when Glo said she slapped a rap in the FNF Let's Go remix. To JT, all those little jabs weren't just lyrics, they were low-key shade aimed right at her.
Everything just always everything at the end of the day that they gonna end.
Yeah, hello. and it's all the truth though. You enter with the purse.
Everything is it.
So when a fan jumped in and asked, did Glo really slap JT at the VMAs? Boom! It was like someone threw gasoline on the fire. JT snapped on Twitter, going all the way off. No holding back. Her tweets were raw, loud, and full of that "you got me messed up" energy. She made it clear. She wasn't here for the games, and definitely not for being made a storyline in someone else's mixtape rollout. JT wasn't letting the internet run wild with lies. She hopped on Twitter fast and shut the slap rumors down. Her exact words: "She never slapped me, ever, ever, never, like y'all find someone else to play with." But she didn't stop there. Not even close. JT flipped the switch and went straight for Glo's neck. She called GloRilla out for being messy, fake, and disloyal, claiming she switched up on her own people the second Fame hit. According to JT, Glo came into the game already moving shady, saying she was phony and ready to flip on her homies. And she even tied it back to drama from the FNF remix, hinting that it caused chaos in Glo's own circle. Then things turned real personal, fast. JT didn't hold back. She clowned Glo's look, saying, "Ugly shouldn't leave your mouth ever. You look like you were born feet first." That line had the internet screaming. And just to make sure she had folks talking, JT even posted a mugshot with a blank spot, like she was saying, "One more name and I'm filling this in." But GloRilla wasn't about to stay quiet either. She fired back with deleted tweets that had serious heat. She told JT, "Shut your dumb self up and fix them ugly wigs." Then she accused JT of being salty behind the scenes and having hidden beef for a long time. When JT tried to clear the air again and explain she was just defending herself from rumors, Glo clapped back with pure sarcasm, saying, "I mentioned your name to clear the air. What you wanted me to say, I didn't slap you, but I wanted to." The beef got so wild that Glo even hinted she might pull up and handle it in person. GloRilla turned up the pressure by throwing shade at JT's mugshots, saying, "Them mugshots ain't from no fight, they from stealing." The claws were all the way out. Both of them were going back and forth, calling each other corny, fake, scary, and flat-out liars. And the fans? Oh, they were living for every second of it. Screenshotting, reposting, making memes, and adding fuel to the fire. What really made this beef hit different was how it exposed the bigger mess in female rap. Fans have been saying it for years. Women in hip-hop keep getting pitted against each other, and this whole showdown just added more receipts. Every tweet felt like it had layers, not just personal shots, but commentary on the whole culture. And once social media caught hold, there was no slowing it down. What started off as some low-key tension blew up into a headline-grabbing battle. It only lasted about a day on Twitter, but by then, the image damage was already done. People picked sides, made assumptions, and started pushing their own versions of what went down. When GloRilla got asked about it during a red carpet interview, she didn't spill any more tea, just said what she needed to say to keep it cute. No drama, no dragging. Later, she tried to set the record straight in her own way, saying, "Me and JT ain't the best of friends, but we ain't beefing," which was her way of letting folks know they might not be cool like that, but they're not at war anymore either. Just two artists choosing to move forward quietly. JT never clapped back at GloRilla's final comments, and ever since then, it's been radio silence. No more subs, no more sneak disses. But even though the feud died down, the public was still split down the middle. Some folks were exhausted by the drama, saying it distracted from the music completely. Others felt like it was just another messy moment in rap where fan bases stirred the pot harder than the artists themselves. Hip-hop blogs and outlets broke it down as another case of stan culture gone wild, where two artists with minimal real issues end up in a whole war just because of gossip and online hype. Some fans were pointing fingers at Glo, saying she fanned the flames by mentioning JT in her lyrics. Others thought JT blew it way out of proportion and should have taken the line as a peace offering instead of a diss. But if you thought that beef was wild, wait till you hear what came next. In May 2025, GloRilla found herself in a whole different kind of fire, and this time it hit way closer to home. The issue? A simple Instagram story that spiraled into something way bigger. It involved none other than Megan Thee Stallion, one of Glo's closest friends and collab partners. It all exploded because the post was connected to Tory Lanez, the man convicted in 2022 for shooting Megan in both feet. Yeah, that situation. So when Glo posted something that fans saw as supportive of Tory, even if it was unintentional, the reaction was instant. It showed just how real the tension still is around certain topics in hip-hop and how one careless post can put even the strongest friendships on thin ice. May 21st, 2025, GloRilla made one post and the internet blew up. She shared an inspirational quote on her IG stories. Sounds harmless, right? But what had people screaming wasn't the message. It was the background music. She used Tory Lanez's 2015 track YDR. And with everything tied to him, that move was seen as a huge red flag. Let's be real, this wasn't just about the music. Tory Lanez is the same man who was convicted for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, one of Glo's closest friends in the industry. And to make things worse, Megan had just gone on IG Live days earlier talking about how exhausted she was from the constant trolling and harassment by Lanez supporters. So when Glo's post popped up with his track in it, fans were like, what is she doing? It didn't take long before the fallout started. Within hours, receipts started circulating. Megan had unfollowed GloRilla and wiped her page of any trace of their friendship. That included deleting their collab posts and even pulling down a heartfelt birthday tribute she had shared for Glo. Fans who had followed their sisterhood were stunned. These two had seemed locked in, on and off the mic. Megan had gone out of her way to support Glo's come-up. And now it looked like all that was hanging by a thread. Even though GloRilla quickly deleted the story, it was too late. The damage had been done. Megan's fan base, the hotties, came full force. They dragged Glo online, calling her a traitor, fake, and even questioning if she ever respected Megan in the first place. For a single post to spark that much chaos, it said a lot about how fragile trust is, especially in an industry where loyalty can disappear with one song choice. The internet wasn't letting this slide. Posts like Megan's bestie GloRilla just used a Tory Lanez song were blowing up with thousands of likes and even more heated comments. People were quick to remind everyone that Megan had put Glo on the Hot Girl Summer Tour, featured her on major collabs, and basically co-signed her come-up in a huge way. So for Glo to even accidentally use a Tory track, fans were calling it a straight-up betrayal. And the heat was coming in fast. GloRilla knew she had to say something before it got uglier. The very next day, May 22nd, 2025, she hopped back on Instagram stories and tried to cool things down. She called it an innocent repost and said she had no idea the song playing was from Tory. Her words were simple, innocent repost. I don't do mess, but she wasn't done. Glo doubled down with another story saying, I didn't know what song was playing in the background until everybody said something. I deleted it as soon as I seen the comments. She knew how bad it looked, and she wasn't trying to lose one of her most powerful allies. So GloRilla refollowed Megan, reposted their joint content, and basically tried to send a message. I messed up, but it wasn't on purpose. The question now, was it too little, too late? Megan's silence said a lot, and the fans were still side-eyeing Glo like trust doesn't come that easy anymore. GloRilla's explanation made sense to some folks. Sure, there's tons of music out there, and sometimes a repost really is just that. But Megan's hardcore fans, they weren't buying it at all. They were like, how do you not know what track you're posting? especially when it's tied to the dude who hurt your own girl like that. To them, it felt like a lazy excuse and way too casual for something this serious. Megan didn't post a single word in response, but trust, she didn't need to. The unfollow, the disappearing birthday tribute, and those wiped posts, that told the story loud and clear. According to insiders close to Megan, she's still super guarded from all the trauma she's been through and the unfollow. That was a heat of the moment move, not necessarily the end of the friendship. On the surface, it looked like the storm passed fast. Both Glo and Megan moved on without turning it into a public mess. Behind the scenes, though, word is they talked it out privately, squashed the misunderstanding, and got back on the same page. By July 2025, they were still mutuals on social, and no new shade had been thrown. But even with things looking peaceful again, fans still remember. And one messy slip like that can change how people see your loyalty forever. That whole situation with Megan, it was a loud wake-up call. It showed just how messy friendships can get when you're living under the spotlight, especially when deep trauma and real legal battles are involved. One quick slip on social media, one song playing in the background, and boom, years of trust can start crumbling in seconds. For GloRilla, it was a reminder that when the whole world is watching, every post gets picked apart like evidence in a courtroom. Context isn't just important, it's everything. And in this game, one innocent repost can feel like betrayal to the wrong crowd. But here's what's wild. Instead of running from the drama, GloRilla faced it. These experiences taught her to stay sharp online and solid in real life. She's built a reputation as someone who keeps it real, deals with the mess head-on, and doesn't play the avoidant game. No sugarcoating, no silence, just straight-up honesty, even when it gets uncomfortable. And that's exactly what makes her stand out in the rap game. As we step into the next chapter of her come-up, it's clear these public slip-ups and private lessons haven't just shaped her image. They've shaped her music too. From belting in Memphis church choirs to standing on the Grammy stage, yes, Grammys, GloRilla's rise has been anything but ordinary. Born Gloria, hallelujah. Woods on July 28, 1999, she came up from humble beginnings, and you can hear that in every bar she spits. That church upbringing, it built her stage presence, her voice, her energy, everything fans now love her for. GloRilla's whole path could have ended at just 16 years old. That's when she lost her singing voice after getting sick, a total blow for someone raised in the church choir. But instead of quitting music, she flipped the script and turned pain into power. She didn't crawl into silence. She picked up a mic and started rapping. That church-trained voice, she brought that same energy to her bars, raw, emotional, and Memphis to the bone. That loss ended up being a blessing in disguise. It built the resilience that became her superpower. And when she entered Memphis's underground rap scene, she wasn't just another artist, she was a force. Her debut mixtape, Most Likely Up Next, dropped in 2019, followed by the EP P Status in 2020. These early tracks lit up her city and helped her lock in her unique sound, gritty, catchy, and real. But it was April 2022 that sent shockwaves through hip-hop when she dropped FNF, Let's Go, with Hit Kid. That song wasn't just a banger, it was a movement. It had TikTok on fire, clubs shaking, and fans screaming every word. The momentum from that single was so strong, she caught the attention of Yo Gotti, who signed her to CMG, Collective Music Group, in July 2022. That CMG deal wasn't just a win. It was a launch pad. It gave her the tools, the team, and the Memphis legacy backing she needed to skyrocket into stardom. From local buzz to global charts, GloRilla's name started ringing loud all through 2022 and 2023, and she never looked back. By 2023, GloRilla wasn't just buzzing, she was booming. Getting named to the XXL freshman class sealed the deal. That cosign meant the streets, the blogs, and the industry all knew she was next up, and she didn't disappoint. Her EP, Anyways, Life's Great, climbed all the way to number 11 on the Billboard 200, shutting down any talk that her come-up was just beginner's luck. Nah, she was building a real legacy. Then came the collabs that took her from hot to on fire. Her track Tomorrow 2 with Cardi B straight up exploded, hitting the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going double platinum. The energy between them, crazy. And when she linked with Megan Thee Stallion for Wannabe, it was a whole anthem. Summer wasn't ready. That one slid into the top 40 and had fans screaming lyrics at every festival and function. These weren't just hits, they were moments. They proved Glo wasn't just keeping up with the big names, like she was running with them and still sounding 100% like herself. No watered down gimmicks, no copying, just Glo. Then she dropped her debut studio album, Glorious, in October 2024, and it was game over. It shot up to number 5 on the Billboard 200 and delivered the highest first-week sales of any female rapper that year. Critics called it a Memphis manifesto, a bold, unapologetic blend of gritty street bars and polished radio bangers. This was GloRilla's loudest roar yet, and the world was finally listening. GloRilla has been leveling up in ways nobody saw coming. Her latest moves prove she's not just riding a wave, she's building her own empire. Tracks like Typa and Rain Down on Me, featuring Kirk Franklin and Maverick City, music caught everyone off guard, in the best way. Who else you know can blend street talk with gospel soul and still keep it 100% Memphis? That gospel banger didn't just turn heads, it snatched her the Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel Inspirational Award at the 2025 BET Awards. But of course, the win came with drama. Some folks in the gospel world weren't too happy seeing a rap queen take that crown, and let's just say Twitter had opinions. Still, Glo stood tall and kept it pushing, unbothered. Her live shows? Straight up legendary. At the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game halftime show, she turned the court into a club. Fans lost it when Angel Reese was caught wilding out on the sidelines, dancing like she was in the front row at a Glo concert. It was loud, it was live, and it was GloRilla at her most turned up. And then came the Glorious Tour, March to July 2025. From coast to coast, she packed out venues and had crowds screaming every lyric. But of course, chaos followed her too. One stop in St. Louis got shut down mid-set after fights broke out in the crowd. Glo had to end the show early, but fans still said it was one of the wildest nights they'd ever seen. Even with setbacks, she kept stacking wins. In March, she snagged Hip Hop Artist of the Year at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, stepping on that stage and giving a speech that silenced the haters. She reminded everybody, she's not here by accident, she earned her spot. GloRilla's been racking up more than just music awards. She's also been getting major props for her power, presence, and influence. In April 2025, she picked up the Powerhouse Award at Billboard Women in Music, locking in her place as one of the most dominant voices in hip-hop and culture. But what really got people talking? Her personal life is now just as iconic as her bars. Yup, the real plot twist in Glo's journey, celibacy. And she didn't just keep it private, she went full-on viral with it. Back in November 2024, she told the world she was single and celibate until God send me my husband. What started as a casual 90-day challenge turned into a full-on faith-driven lifestyle shift. She kicked it off in January 2024. And of course, being Glo, she made it funny from day one. On day 9, she tweeted, "Started my 90-day celibacy lil for New Year's or WTV. I'm on the 9th day and my vision blurry AF. Send help." Fans were crying, laughing, but also cheering her on for keeping it real about the struggle. By day 30, it was even more chaotic. I reached day 30 of my celibacy and y'all on here posting all these positions. It's nothing but the devil. She had folks howling while also shining a light on how tough but empowering the journey could be. It wasn't just jokes though. Glo's been showing that discipline, self-love, and boundaries are part of her new chapter, on and off the stage. And in an industry full of wild headlines, she's out here flipping the script with faith and finesse. "Get D behind me, Satan!" That was GloRilla's exact words, and fans went crazy for it. She wasn't just making jokes, she was keeping it real about the temptation struggle, but still cracking up while doing it. Her decision to stay celibate wasn't some short-term trend. She made it clear, it's God or nothing. No dating, no situationships, no late-night link-ups. Glo said straight up, Not seeing nobody, not dating nobody, not linking, talking nothing until God send me my husband. Now that's commitment, and it ain't just talk. This whole lifestyle shift ties back to the Christian values she was raised with, and she's using her platform to stand on that. Fans weren't just entertained, they were inspired. Because how many celebs you know actually promote discipline over drama? But she didn't stop there. In February 2025, Glo went next level and launched a 30-day full-body wellness challenge. It wasn't just no S. She cut out alcohol, hit the gym 3 times a week, and told fans to get serious about leveling up in every way. And guess what? People showed up for it. Screens were filled with fans sharing their own stories, screenshots, and workout vids. The movement was popping all over social media. Media outlets couldn't stop covering it. It wasn't just about celibacy anymore. It was about growth, glow-ups, and staying solid in a world that constantly tests your peace. GloRilla proved you can be real, raw, and righteous all at the same time. GloRilla's been keeping it raw and real, and fans love her for it. She talks about the struggle, the wins, and the whole journey with zero filter. From celibacy to setting high standards, she's never been shy about her expectations, and that's exactly why people relate to her. While rumors keep flying about who she might be dating, Glo's kept it low-key and classy. Back in 2022, the streets were buzzing about her and Drake, and in 2024, she was linked to NBA star Damian Lillard. But both of them shut it down quick, saying they're just friends. And then came that flirty Lil interview with Speedy Mormon from Complex that had fans reading way too deep into it. Still, no receipts, no confirmations, just more noise. Truth is, Glo's been too focused to entertain distractions. Her celibacy ain't just about love, it's about discipline, vision, and cutting off anything that might pull her off track. And it shows. While some artists get sidetracked by fame and drama, Glo's been stacking wins and staying grounded. She's even hinted that she's related to Cardi B and Lil Uzi Vert, but whether that's fact or just rap folklore, one thing's clear. She understands that hip-hop is about connections, legacy, and loyalty. You don't get to the top alone, and Glo moves like she knows it. But 2025 hasn't been all smooth. In July, she faced some legal trouble that had fans worried, but instead of canceling shows or ducking the spotlight, she pushed through like a boss. Her Glo Bash concert in Memphis on July 25th went down just as planned. Packed crowd, high energy, and proof that nothing's stopping her hustle. From singing in church choirs, to surviving home invasions, to facing Twitter beefs and Grammy shade, GloRilla's journey is a whole blueprint for keeping it real in the rap game. She's not just surviving, she's thriving. She's what hip-hop looks like when it's raw, rooted, and still rising. If you were feeling this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share with your crew. And we'll catch you in the next one.